you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, fire away, forgot.
We call the meeting of the Minot City Council to order.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon for our Minot City Council meeting today for May 6, 2019. I do, of course, want to welcome and recognize our Madam Mayor for the day, Caroline Mayton. She, of course, was the winner at the Mayor's Challenge in January for what I would do if I were mayor. So Mayor Mayton and I have gone through the entire day and have gone and visited with our different departments and had lots of tours. We'll tell you more about that in the mayor's report here in just a couple of minutes. In the meantime, we have a city council meeting to run. So with that, Mayor Mayton, item number one.
Roll call.
Janser.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Pittner.
Here.
Padragula.
Here.
Straight.
Here.
Wolski.
Here.
Sitma.
Here.
Maytan.
Here.
Item number two.
The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number three is personal appearances.
Item number 3 is personal appearances.
Under personal appearances, this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to come and speak on any item that is not on our agenda for today. So if you do have any item that you do wish to speak on, please come to the podium and say your name and your address, and we'll be more than happy to hear what you have to say. Your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is James Marsh. Hit the button on the microphone.
Little gray button on the microphone on the base there. There we go.
How's that?
Perfect.
My name is James Marsh. My address is 7181 East Camelback Road in Scottsdale, Arizona, 85251. Madam Mayor and Mr. Mayor and members of the council, my informal name is Jim Marsh, and I'm here today to talk about one specific item that has given me quite a bit of problems in our development up on North Hill. Before I get started, I'll just take a moment to tell you that and inform you that I am from Minot. I grew up in Minot, and I love this place. I started to come back again back in 2014 and looked at some different opportunities to do some investment here in Minot. And we ended up buying the corner of 36th Avenue and North Broadway with the intent to do a real nice development up there, which would have included a hotel, some retail, residential, some restaurants, things like that. And unfortunately, we were one of those folks that came in and bought it up here, and then the economy went kind of down here. So we've been fighting it out. We've done our best to hang in there and try to attract users, and we've invested over $2 million into this site, both in the land acquisition as well as the improvements to our site and the improvements to the off-sites of the city of Minot. So we're ready to go. We're ready to go out and try to attract users there. As all of us know, North Hill is really struggling as far as trying to bring in users and services for those folks that live up on North Hill. And so the intersection was improved. It went through the city of Minot. We went through with the vote of not having a median in place in front of our entrance into our property. During discussion on the city council back then a few years ago, they changed that and they put in the median. The engineering department recommended that they put in the median because of a potential hazardous condition for driving. And as it ends up, we're out of business. Nobody can turn in off the frontage road, which we had done some improvements to. We still have the final ledge to put in, but we did improvements to that. And every user that we've spoken to has said, we can't hang a U-turn. We can't go down 36th Avenue to come in. So I know all of you have gotten my printouts. I brought you copies of that as well. But the main message and why I flew up here today is that I really want to do a project in Minot. I really believe in this town. I have a lot of close friends here, and we invested a lot of money, and your staff supported us and encouraged us to invest money here and to do a classy development. And we still intend to do that. We feel, I've got great optimism that the city of Minot will grow and it will do quality developments, and we want to be one of those. But as it sits right now, we have zero chance. We cannot operate. Most of you have said, Jim, I understand your dilemma, but what's the solution? Well, how can we make this better for you, but also protect the city and all the pedestrians and the vehicles? In its simplest form, I think Derek has it there. If he could put it on the screen, which basically says that we would go in and perform a simple median cut, whereas we can do a queue for cars to stop short of the intersection. And I gave you examples of those signs as well. And the cars would queue there. If somebody missed it and went further, there is a spot for that car to sit. And if it ends up being a problem down the way, we'll put it back in. But as it sits now, you can't get in the property. So I don't want to belabor the point. I think all of you have gotten that message from me, probably more than you care to know. But I do have more printouts for you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Marsh from the Alderman? Alderman Wolski.
Mr. Marsh, just to clarify, and I think you shared this in our brief conversation in front of the meeting, in front of the meeting, but your company would be willing to bear the costs of this median cut? This would not be a financial responsibility to the city?
That is correct.
Okay.
And we would work with, Lance Meyer's department and the signs department to make sure that they were placed correctly. We would also do, we would pay for the cost to cut into that median. The more time I spent there yesterday and today, it would be my recommendation, and Mr. Meyer may feel differently about it, but my recommendation would be to do a simple cut on both sides so that you've got a median up at US 83 and a median to the east of it, and simply you just cut it in the middle and allows vehicles to come and go. I'll distribute these while you think about any questions. That's all. Or do you want me to give them?
Yes, Mr. Marsh, if you would.
Nice to meet you as well.
Can the city engineer please come up and, if they have any comments, speak them?
Thanks, Jen.
Sir.
Good afternoon, Lance.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would like our traffic engineer, Stefan Jers, to come up and talk through this. I wanted him to take a look at it. He was basically an independent player in this since he's new to the city, and I wanted him to take a look and analyze what Mr. Marsh has put in front of you all, and then help us or let us give you our professional opinion as professional engineers on what we think about this for your consideration.
Thank you, Lance. Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor. I'll wait till it gets down here.
Okay,
No, all good.
please continue.
All good. Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I just want to give you a little bit quick background on kind of the traffic engineering portion of this. So what you see here is kind of the dilemma we get into, access versus management. What we try to do is to get access onto the minor collectors, onto the local streets, and keep the mobility on the major arterials. What we have here is 83 is the major arterial. So with that, we want bigger access space, and that's along 83, and that's also off 83, so you can get people on and off safely. With that, the Green Book, which is kind of the design manual for road design, states that there should be an offset of a minimum of 150 feet between your main road and your frontage road. The way it sits currently, it's only 80 feet. Again, you can see we're short by 100 or by 70 feet. What that median does is allows us to get to that 150, 180, 200. I don't know the exact amount there, but it is over the 150. And that's for a few reasons. That's for proper signage, that's for proper storage length to go on 83. That's your main purpose there. It does say The Green Book does say you can go shorter than 150 feet, but that's where you have restrictions in place. Restrictions such as this median that doesn't allow queuing to back up and other issues like that. I would like to point out that on the plat that was approved, I don't know when, I wasn't here, but on the study before, there is an access easement in between lots 3 and 4. You can see on the bottom there. So the idea, if I would look at this, the idea would be you'd go past the median, and that's where you would enter into the property or properties if you're traveling along 83 and then 36 and up. We do have a few concerns. This is one solution that we got, is to have the median cut and then place stop here and red signs. This, I would say, is a little unorthodox, and from a traffic engineer's perspective, you want to make things uniform. You want to make things easier for everybody. I see this giving driver confusion. I think you're just opening yourselves up to a bunch of right angle crashes because you're kind of creating a false stop. So who really has the right of way to go onto the frontage road? Is it the person who was supposed to stop here, but then they go because that's what they're used to? And then coinciding that with the people turning on to the frontage road. So a couple concerns. If the median is removed, we feel there's a potential for eastbound queuing to turn north onto the frontage road. And if that queuing spills back onto North Broadway, I think you're just asking for increased rear ends. And then if you have a car sitting on North Broadway, you have the potential for a high-speed right angle crash. That's your T-bone crash. Again, that false westbound stop, who has the right of way? Again, I think goes back to the increased crash potential. And then, I'm not going to answer this one, but what happens when, or not if, that frontage road needs to go back in? How do you explain to future business owners that median gets to be put back in? Thank you.
Any questions for traffic engineer Alderman Straight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Mr. Mayor. Sir, can you explain, was the median put in place at that size? I guess I drove this, I had a look at it. I'm surprised that the width of 36th Street itself is not all that wide. Does that come into play in terms of the size of this when it was put in because of there's no designated left turn lane as you come off of the highway to make that immediate left to the frontage road? Does that play part of this or not at all?
I can background of it. So I would say yes and no. The width of a median, the main thing is you have a median there. The width, you could, I would say the road geometry isn't really there to put a left turn lane in right now because that median is so narrow. If the median was wider, I suppose you would have the potential, but it'd be really tight and everything in there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Further questions? Yes, Alderman Janser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor. Do we have a recent traffic study to know how many cars are going through that intersection and that side of it? Do we have data of that kind?
See if I can grab it off the top of my head here. We don't have a recent count, but we do have a count from the study that was done in 2015, and that is the Moore Engineering did study for 36th Avenue for when they put Ramstead in to kind of connect 36th Avenue. And that count, I believe, had it doesn't have a full day here, but it has over 100 cars every 15 minutes going through that intersection. So you have about 400, 500 cars going through that intersection, which is a decent amount.
Follow up,
Continue.
if I may. So are you talking about 83?
I'm talking about, 36. I know 83 in that area has about 10 to 11, I believe, 1,000 per day.
Okay. So the number for 36 was what again?
If I had to guess right now, it would be about 2,000 or so. You're having about 500 cars in your evening peak hour, so it'd be about 3,000 cars.
Okay. Okay.
Further questions? Alderman Olson.
In your opinion, if we removed the median now because traffic might not be at its max, but businesses went in, would the median then be required back?
I think if you did a traffic study with any of those businesses, which you usually do, because it kind of relates to how is this business going to impact kind of the traffic around that area, I believe any traffic engineer would put that median back in, mainly for that safety aspect.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Marsh?
Can I just respond to his comments, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, excuse me, and Madam. He asked the question, who can answer the third question? Could you put that back up on the screen for me? It was question 3 from his presentation. Yeah. How do we explain the future businesses, how do we explain to the future businesses that this median needs to be put back in? If it gets to the point, first of all, there's absolutely zero chance there's 2,000 cars going by there a day. That's just absolutely impossible. I mean, I sat out there this morning and there was, the most ever queued were 2 or 3. But anyway, we would certainly look at putting that back in. If you've already got established businesses that are there and we're able to build that ancillary access point off 35th Avenue, or excuse me, 36th Avenue as described on there, I mean, people are creatures of habit. They're going to get used to how to get in and out of places. It's the whole hurdle trying to get over the hump to attract users into this space. It's huge. And to answer the question that he said, well, how are people going to know whether to stop here? Should we stop? Shouldn't we stop? Most of the people that come from the west live over in that, I think it's called Summer Bridge or whatever the case, to the east of there. They drive it every day. The few hundred people that come out of that development, they know they're going to stop there because they're going to see that same sign. And then lastly, and then I'll be quiet, when he said about the signs that he's not familiar with those, they're all over the country. I mean, those are pictures that I took in Phoenix that they have stopped short of for those type of situations. So a traffic engineer, will certainly recognize those, that's a conventional way to stop traffic to allow you in and out of the frontage road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. And Alderman Janser, I think you had was it a question or a comment?
Well, I guess I want a clarification. So I hear talk about taking out the median, and then I thought I heard that not necessarily take it out, but have a piece of it removed so that the median is still there, but there's a way to turn into the frontage road. So I guess I'm asking, what is really the request, or what are we contemplating here?
Mr. Marsh, maybe a little clarification.
Yes, Councilman Janser, to be specific on it, what I would like to do is meet with the traffic engineer and with Mr. Meyer and make a cut basically that's right on the western edge of the frontage there and take it to the east of that frontage and create a big enough area that you can turn and access the frontage road. So they put in a long median there. So you'd leave the part up by US 83, you do a cut in, and then the last section, the eastern part, you leave that there. So it's a very handsome cut. You put your signs up in there, and it allows people to get into the project. So specifically, you would cut in the middle of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. I think, yes, Mr. Meyer.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, just to sum this up very respectfully to everybody, the median would have to go back in at some point. Every project in Minot where we've encountered these frontage roads, we're building medians. 37th Avenue, 31st Avenue, 20th Avenue, 36th Avenue. All of your traffic engineering professionals are going to recommend these when you have these sort of situations. It's frontage roads are a thing of the past. We don't build them with highway projects anymore. You'll see that all over the state, like in North Bismarck and other places. In fact, the city and the state just partnered in a $4 million project to help improve frontage road access over at 42nd Street and US 2 because of this same situation. So we built a safe intersection a couple of years ago. In our professional opinion, removing the median would make this less safe, necessitating it to go back in a future date. So while I can understand Mr. Marsh's concerns, the property is platted such that if the common access is built between the lots, just like it was intended when it was platted, you'd still have your circular route that you could get back in and out of that development. You could get to the signal and have safe access onto US 83. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I think in response, what I'll do is have a little further discussion with our city engineer, with our traffic department. We can take a look at a potential traffic study on that. Those seems to be the one I hate to ever guess on anything. So we'll carry on some further discussions, and Mr. Marsh, I do have your contact information. I do apologize for not calling you back. I was on the understood that many other aldermen had talked to you and to stay away from the continuation of a meeting for open meeting laws. I did not. So I will continue that conversation and reach back out to you as well for further discussion on this.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Wolski.
If I may offer some comments on this, and I appreciate both sides of this argument, but I would like to provide a little more of a definitive position in terms of when we're going to be able to get back to Mr. Marsh on this. I would prefer to set a date certain, maybe no later than, say, June 15th. I doubt that's enough time, or our second meeting in June. I doubt that's enough time to do maybe what would be a traditional traffic study, but maybe we can do the 85% of a traffic study that gets us most of the way there in terms of some rough counts and a rough idea. I think it's appropriate. Mr. Marsh has made the investment to come up here and ask for this particular adjustment. I think we need to provide a date certain in which we take action.
Lance, what would be a reasonable amount of time for, let's call it an educated information provision?
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, we'll put our best foot forward. We should be able to get you what you need by mid-June.
Okay, thank you, Lance. Alderman Straight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I guess from my standpoint, having been up there earlier today, I can recognize, I can see both sides of the coin, and the traffic obviously isn't nearly as bad as, say, the old Big Bear location and across from the A&W up on South Hill. And I guess from that standpoint, that's why I guess it seems reasonable to maybe work with Mr. Marsh under the circumstance to see if he can also fill the space, which I think is ultimately the goal for all of us, even if it has to go in at some point down the road. I guess I'm supportive of what Mr. Wolski and yourself are saying, sir, just because I think this is one where, you look across the way at the SRT lot on the opposite side of the road, it seems kind of absurd. I think we recognize it from the common sense perspective that we tend to have, but I think until the traffic is there, it seems to be a bit of a hindrance. So my 2 cents, sir.
Thank you, Alderman Straight. We'll do that on or before June 15th. We will absolutely. I will have reached out to you and along with Mr. Meyer and have further discussions on this, on some proposals or on a direction on this one. So thank you. Any further public appearances?
Are there any further public appearances?
Yes, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Ricky Belger Sr. I live at 606th Street Southwest, Minot. I speak up for the disadvantaged citizens of the poor. We look at the situation today in our Minot. We're living pretty good around here, ain't we? But then we see our outside people of the poor, the innocent of the citizens of this country are being left behind and left out in the cold. We, as a people of this country, do not leave no one behind. Are you no better than anybody else, above or below? Doesn't matter if you're rich or middle class or poor. They have a right to have a prosperity, just a future, just like everybody else. But then we look at the cuts of the food stamp issue, from $100 for a single to 40. Their income cut down, or if you don't port it, you get welfare fraud, but then these people get $100,000 a year and they get food stamps and medical? That's called welfare fraud. Sirs, we got to think about the lower ones at the bottom too. That's why you're here. That's why you're the council of each district. I'm from a reservation up in Belcourt, North Dakota, has a council and chairman just like you people. We caught our chairman for fraud, corruption, dictatorship. Caught Rayfield, Dakota, got 2.5 years in federal prison for Mrs. Poley out of Fargo. Got a council leader that was misusing these powers and stealing the funds and not giving it to the people of the reservations or their jobs and developments or their housings. Or then you get people that think that they're above everybody else. They come first, our middle class comes second. In our country, we take care of our first is our weakest and our poorest. Then we think about our middle class. Then the rich at the bottom, how did he get on top? You know what he did? He slid up from the bottom, came up to the top, slipped the poor right straight off, slammed them on the ground, kicked them in the face, said they didn't have no voice. They got a voice now. I'm home. How dare anybody in this country take our disadvantaged citizens of the poor or a citizen of this country to take from 70,000 foreigners to take from the first to the last. And then we want something, and by the time it's done, we don't get none because it's all gone. You leaders, you talk about your people. What about us at the bottom? We your people, sir? We are. I know you. I know where you started from and how you came there. Sir, I came from a reservation because what was going on there is now going on here. You didn't have no more blacks to slap around, no more Indians or anything like that anymore, huh? So we had to go after our own kind and slap around and kick on the street and say they don't count. Well, they do. And we got countries in this world is looking at our country and asking, we were #1 in safety today. Now we're #4 in danger. Why? Because we let representatives get power and think they misuse it. Think that they're God or whatever you could sit up there. You represent and you bring yourself as a leader to the people, not as a dictator. My Lady Justice don't like 3 things in the world. She don't like a liar, she don't like a dictator, just pisses her off. But the most of all is a traitor. Our people of this country comes first, dual citizens second, foreigners third and fourth. Not the citizen of this country come from 170,000 people in the back. What did we get? That's what I'm saying, my leader, my Mr. Mayor, is that you say your people in town. But what about us? That our people are sleeping on the streets, going onto a truck in the wintertime and it's freezing. Our people are getting left behind. Our food banks are getting overrun. Now you lower the food stamps. You know what you're going to do? You're going to bring the 1930s back into this country again. We did not allow anybody into our governments to ever do what they've done today. Our Constitution has been rewrote. Are you going to get rid of the Constitution? Are you going to get rid of this? You end up being people that came here after my Constitution was made by before there was a Constitution, there was common law. That's called English law, the Queen law, the King law. They were right here. We, the Native Americans of the North, we dealt with the Queen, the King. That's what we made out of. He's the King. The bishops are the knights, are the cops. Now they call them the police officers. We are the people of your subjects. We fought hard from the past, sir. Don't make the past bring to the future of our children now and our grandchildren. Freedom of speech is being threatened. Due process of the 4th and the 5th is being threatened, mostly the 19th of our vote, because of leaders thinking that they're God. While under the federal Constitution of the United States, of the first Commander-in-Chief of Washington, they said that we were involved and responsible for that Constitution, not the leaders. Why? Because it corrupted. You're supposed to bring your articles, your chapters, and your doctrines. Bring your smart. Bring yourself there as your education, what you taught. The education today tells me that the middle class and rich is a con artist and a foreign middle class is the thief. And I do not want to accept that in my country. Talk about this land. The land of the free, the land of the proud. How could it be when everybody and their uncle owns it? From the day they stole it from the Native Americans from the north, northern west, I am the child of that Indian.
Mr. Bellegarde, you've
Sir,
been
what I'm
speaking
saying,
for
sir,
8 minutes
sir,
now.
give
Could you
us
please
more
wrap it
time.
up?
Give us more time and
Could you please
more
wrap it
effort
up
because
so
you
that we
got
can
the young lady
continue?
there for yourself.
Mr. Bellegarde, can you please wrap it up so we can continue? We gave the.
I thank you very much for letting me bring my freedom of speech, sir, and thank you for being here for all of us. God bless you, and if I disrespected you or dishonored you, sir, I didn't need no such thing as a brain disorder handicap of the world. We do not kill anybody. We don't pick up weapons and kill no children, no persons, no youths, nobody. As an oath that I took from my borderline, my community and my people, I am here, and now they got a voice, and you will have accountability, responsibility under checks and balances. And the rule will follow. The rule is law. Standard is people. It's time to realize all the people, not just a few. Thank you, and God bless you all, and God thank you. Thank you. Hey, and sir, I knew you all I watched Channel 13. I knew when Mr. Olson came in with after Mr. Vegas said what happened and stuff. I know my history of my state. I know the history of my country, and I know the history about common law. We are all three, but all people must be included as one, not left behind. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
Bye-bye.
Bellegarde.
Thank you, my audience and my people. God bless you and my leaders. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, my elders. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Are there any further public appearances?
Number 5, mayor report. Or number 4, mayor. It's public hearing. I'm skipping that.
Let's go on to number 4, the public hearing.
Public hearing, a public hearing to consider a request from Matthew Yale to relocate a single-family home from 1018 6th Avenue Southwest, also known as the Kittleson, west 50 feet, lot 7 to 609 7th Street Southeast, Minot, also known as the Derrick First Edition, lot 3, block 2, subject to conditions. This is a public hearing, and anyone in favor or opposed to the proposal, this is your opportunity to state your cause. Any comments on the public hearing? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Alderman Chancer.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing and approve the item.
Second.
Motion to approve. Second by Alderman Pittner.
Any discussion?
End of discussion.
Any discussion? Please call the roll. Please call the roll.
Please call to roll.
Chancer,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pittner,
Yes.
Padragula,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Wolski,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Maytan.
Yes. Motion approved.
That takes us to number 5 on the mayor's report for today, May 16th. I did have quite a few different appointments and attendance There we go, at several different events throughout the last month of April. I will just hit some of the highlights. Military Ball, April 6th at the Grand Hotel. I had the honor of spending time with Colonel Bradley Cochran and his wife Kevin, and my wife, of course. It was great attendance with our fine neighbors to the north. Very proud. I know there was Alderman Janser was there, I believe, and several others from council. So April 10th, Senate Bill 2275, lobby effort in Bismarck. City Manager Barry and I did spend nearly a full day down. Unfortunately, 2275 itself, as we have already discussed, did not pass. We will be talking more at great length about that down the road. On April 12th, I was up at North Plains Elementary to the 5th grade talking about the 2011 flood. The Madam Mayor here was in attendance on that one as well, talking specifically about geology and hydrology and, of course, the social impacts to Minot. The 15th was the Minot Area Council for the International Visitors meeting with Maureen Hurley. She was all the way here from May, talking about similarities and differences within our community. Of course, the 16th was the Army Corps of Engineers chief visit with Senator Hoeven and the Corps of Engineers chief, numerous other federal agencies. Those conversations are continuing. We did have the Downtown Business Professional Association lunch update meeting to get an idea of some of the work that they are tasking right now. On the 25th, we did have Visit Minot's annual meeting. The 25th of April, I did have the honor of attending the 38th Annual Air Force Association Award Banquet at Minot Air Force Base. In attendance was Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Gerald R. Murray, retired. Had an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time talking with him. Fantastic individual that served our country during the start of Operation Iraqi Freedom and had many insightful stories. On the 29th, I did have a closing for the home acquisition in our flood buyout. May 1st spoke to the best of the class on behalf of KMOT, Military Affairs Committee at Minot Air Force Base on the 2nd, and then also was able to welcome the National Active and Retired Federal Employee Conference that was held here in Minot. May 2nd was our preliminary city budget workshop, and then on the 3rd, a KCJB radio interview regarding some of the activities at the legislature and also the upcoming community town hall meeting. On the 3rd, the Global Leadership Summit Lunch, the International Roundup North Dakota Tour Dinner with the International Tourism Visitors on the 3rd, and just this Saturday, I was able to MC the Bowlapalooza, helping out the United Way here in Minot. They did a great job of raising money and of counting. I had more than 30 other individual meetings. That does not include the individual phone calls and other connections made as mayor. Now on the 6th, I turn it over to Madam Mayor for today's report on some of the activities that have transpired since this afternoon.
So we started off this afternoon going to to a financial review update, and then we went to visit the Broadway Pump Station, and then we got a tour of that and got to find out about their entire plan. After that, we headed to the airport, and we got to find out all about the old airport and how the new airport is a lot more efficient and a lot better than the old one. Then we got to go to the fire station. We got a huge tour of that, and we got to go in some of the fire trucks and turn on some of the alarms. And then after that, we came back here, and we had to prepare for the city council meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would stand for any questions on my report, or Madam Mayor would as well with hers. All right, seeing none, thank you. That takes us to the next portion. City Manager's report. Oh, we do have appointments. I do apologize. I have appointments that are before you today. Alderman Janser.
I move your appointments, Mayor.
Motion by Alderman Janser.
Second.
Second by Alderman Olson. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Janser,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pittner,
Yes.
Padrigula,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Wolski,
Yes.
Yes.
May 10.
Yes.
Motion is approved. I do have a number of proclamations here. I will move with expediency. Minot Mayor Proclamation, May 5th through the 11th as Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the official municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among the public servants, whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local government bodies, the agencies of government, and other levels, and whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center of functions of local government and community, and whereas the municipal clerks strive to improve the administration of their offices through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, national, and international professionals organizations. Now do I, Sean Sitma, Mayor of Minot, hereby designate the week of May 5th through the 11th as Municipal Clerk Week and extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Kelly Metalka, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform, for their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. The next proclamation. Minot Mayor proclaims May 19th through the 25th as National Public Works Week. Public Works professional focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to the sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, as well-being of the people of Minot. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and the children of Minot to gain knowledge of and to maintain progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and to the public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore do I, Sean Sitma, the Mayor of Minot, hereby designate the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as the National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Last one. City of Minot proclaims May as the Building Safety Month. The United States of America and many other countries will celebrate May as Building Safety Month for the 39th year, and whereas Building Safety Month raises awareness of critical safety issues from structural to fire prevention, plumbing and mechanical systems, and energy efficiency, and whereas the building code saves lives by incorporating the latest technology and providing the safest structures possible for our families and communities, whereas the City of Minot's Inspection Department has adopted codes such as the International Building Code and the International Residential Code since 1975, whereas the topic of discussion for the 5 weeks of Building Safety Month include preparing for disasters, ensuring a safe future through training and education, securing clean, abundant water for all communities, construction professionals and homeowners, partners in safety, and innovation in building safety. Now, therefore, do I, Sean Sitma, the Mayor of Minot, hereby proclaim May 2019 as the Building Safety Month in Minot and encourage all citizens to support or participate in local activities during the Building Safety Month that include building seminars at the Minot Public Library, electrical seminars with students at the Quentin Burdick Job Corps Center, and recognize that building codes and building inspectors play a critical role in providing safety and security to community leaders. Proclamations for this City Council, May 6, 2019. I think we are on to the City Manager's report. Mr. Tom Barry.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor, thank you, council members. It's my pleasure to bring to you the May City Manager's report. As you can tell, it's already a busy month, or will be a busy month, so we're just going to jump into it here with important dates for your consideration. A couple important ones here. The town hall meeting that we're going to have at Perkett Elementary School on the 8th of May, our Wednesday, at 6 o'clock. It'll be an open house style for about the first half hour, and then a formal presentation on both flood control, the flood mapping that's going on in and around the city, and then, of course, a legislative wrap-up. We have an open house at Fire Station 3 on the 9th. A really great event up at the airport called Wings for All, and that's going to be on May 11th, and that's to allow youngsters who might be fearful or for some reason have maybe a disability or whatnot and have never been on an airplane before, so they get to go through the TSA screening, they get to go and get seated on the plane and all of that sort of thing. And so that's going to be a great event for us. As you all know, the mayor and I will be out of the country from the 13th to the 25th of this month in Norway. City Council will be on May 20th. That meeting, again, will be missed by the mayor and I. And then Public Works will have their open house as part of the Public Works Week celebration that the mayor just proclaimed. That will occur essentially on May 22nd. And then Memorial Day is going to be May 27th this month, so city offices are closed as a reminder. Then, of course, Planning Commission will occur on the 28th. And then we'll have a North Dakota League of Cities review of the legislative session that will be held here in council chambers here on May 30th. All right, we'll try to run through some of this stuff pretty quickly. You all were there at the preliminary budget workshop. I appreciate very much your time as well as your guidance on helping us generate the type of guidance document that we need to put the budget together this year. So I won't go through all of these things, but essentially just for our audience here and those in TV land and on Facebook and whatnot, that's the kind of stuff that we talked about. And of course, this workshop is online. We did record it, so everybody could have access to that as well. Next, the town hall meeting, which I've kind of just talked about, so I'll skip right over this other than, again, May 8th, which is Wednesday, 6 o'clock. The legislative session, since that's all wrapped up, it was a 76-day session. Of course, 80 is the maximum number of days they can hold. We did have some wins and we had a couple losses, and those are here. I've gone through most of this with you at the preliminary budget workshop, so I won't go through it again here. This is, again, just for the benefit of those watching and in the audience. And of course, this can be accessed again as we keep everything on the website as well. So the chief's report was signed. You all were, or many of you were there for that on April the 16th. This is a very, very timely but and important but long-awaited activity for us on our flood control project. We did need the chief's reports developed and, of course, signed, which that did occur, in order for the project to be moved forward at the federal level. And this will allow for the advancement of the Maple diversion portion of the project, which does have the federal interest in it, to be pursued. Now we'll have to go and encourage Congress to appropriate the funds for the Maple diversion, which is about $87 million. So this is going to be significant, and of course that fourth project, in coordination with the first three, are really critical in securing flood protection for about 60% of our community. Up next, wanted to just talk a little bit about some of the National Disaster Resiliency programs. The first one is that the gathering space is moving along. It's a little bit slower than I think we'd all would like, but that's partly because we are in a voluntary acquisition process, and we can't require people to respond or to respond in a certain period of time. We are encouraging them to, but we certainly can't require it. There have been 3 parcels that we're currently actively negotiating on. 2 parcels have rejected our initial offer, and we're waiting for counteroffers. And then 1 parcel did reach an agreement. That was the narrow alleyway that you all might be familiar with. And then we are in discussions with Canadian Pacific to advance the possibility of purchasing a small parcel that they own in and around the gathering space. The City Hall project is progressing nicely. We're doing a space analysis and a space utilization study right now. There's a lot of activity that still needs to occur, and some additional data and measurements that need to be taken in order for us to get a better sense of what exactly that project's going to shape up to look like. And of course, that will impact costs, and then we'll be able to put cost estimates and things like that together. The Center for Technical Education, we've started those meetings again. We had our first meeting in probably a year's time because we were waiting on the City Hall waiver. As you all know, the Center for Technical Education was an NDR program project that was slated for about $8 million worth of funding before the city was asked to reduce its allocation when it was awarded the grant. That number went down to $1.5 million and essentially rendered the project almost untenable. So we've been trying to find a way to maybe bring the Center for Technical Education in with the City Hall project and mobilize and leverage those funds for a one place of business for both of those activities. We did meet with MSU and Dakota College representatives and are exploring additional leverage. And of course, what their need and their requirements is going to have to be considered in City Hall, and we'll bring all of that to you at some point in time in the future. Next, the Welder Street property, despite 4 separate attempts, the most recent one being just here within the last week or two, trying to get someone to purchase that home. We had no minimum bid requirements the last 2 times we bid it out, and nobody seems to want the home. So essentially, we will be demolishing this with your approval this evening. It will probably be demolished tomorrow or maybe the next day. So that will be something that's on your docket for consideration today. But I did want everyone in the community, because it's a very visible home, to know that we tried 4 separate times to get rid of this thing, and nobody wants it. So we have to make way for the flood project, and that property is needed in order to continue the project. So. Up next here, the latest on the International Economic Development Council. The steering committee has continued to meet. We met just a week or so ago. There is a one brand committee that was a technical team that is moving forward, and will be requesting Magic Fund dollars for a consultant. There is a stakeholders meeting that will occur on June 17th in the auditorium, room 201, at 9 o'clock and run till 10:30. The meeting objectives are there on the screen. I won't read them all to you, but we do want to get back with the stakeholders because we feel it's timely, and there's been some significant progress over the last 4 or 5 months since we've last met as a group. So we hope to see you all there as well. Up next, community engagement. We continue to move forward on developing a community engagement strategy for the city. We held our first focus group meeting last week, and that was well attended. We have 11 folks on the focus group at this point in time. They're helping to guide our work here. We expect to have at least 1, possibly 2 more meetings. Then we'll take that information, try to synthesize it, and incorporate it into the development of the strategy, and at some point share that with you and get your thoughts on it as well. So things are going well there. It is construction season. We're in May, so things are going to be picking up. A lot of construction in and around town. There are some quick highlights on the screen there. I won't go through all of those, but essentially, watch for the folks in the shiny vests, the reflective vests and whatnot. They'll be working in and around town, trying to improve streets and intersections and pouring sidewalks and doing all sorts of good things for our community. So this is more of an awareness that we will be picking up on the construction for this year. Additional highlights that will be occurring in 2019. Including the amount of money that's being invested in the contracted maintenance costs and additional projects that are occurring. So quite a bit of work. We have enormous work that's being done in and around our community. Up next, I want to talk with you quickly about a couple project awards. We keep doing very well. The Downtown Infrastructure Improvements Project won the American Public Works Association's Public Works Project of the Year. This is a national award. This is the first national award we've actually received, but it is the